and welcome everyone. My name is Nicholas and this is Literally Graphic. And today I'm just going to be doing a brief overview of a handful of books, picture books from Inhabit Media. Reviewed some of their books previously, and so I'll probably be linking to that video at the end. Despite the fact that I want to talk about these books and the fact that they are a really great combination of words and pictures, since I definitely am not going to be reviewing these books. There's also far too many of them. I'm just going to give you like my star rating and then talk about why I think these books are important, and hopefully be linking to some lists on Goodreads and or WorldCat, so that, you know, if you're interested, you can check out all the books for Inhabit Media, a publisher up in Inhabit. I believe it is located in Inhabit, and all the stories I've read so far have definitely been set up in north of Canada. They're also generally pretty rural. Most of the authors, reading the biographies of most of the authors in this round of books and in previous rounds of books, most of them do identify as Inuit, which is one of the reasons I'm like really excited about this publisher. I'm a bit flummoxed, like none of the artists do, and unlike the remaining authors who still all identify as people generally who grew up in the north or have spent a long time living in the north or just have a really strong connection to the north, many of the illustrators seem to come from Toronto. So, Seneca College comes up a lot, Sheridan. There's some international artists, and I'm not really sure what's up with that. All the art is like really excellent, but reading some other comic books by Indigenous artists, I am kind of curious why they haven't kind of gone in the direction of more Inuit artists or other Indigenous artists or Métis artists or something like that. That's not to say they have to, or, you know, I'm sure that they're doing what they're doing for a reason, and they can do what they want to do. It's one thing that I'm kind of curious about. It's interesting. Another thing that I really love about this publisher is that their stories really run the gamut. Anamorphized animals or just people, more modern times, older times, new stories, old stories, things that we read to me more like myths, and then some things that I would perceive as more realistic, and even some references, not so much this time, but in other books I've read, more references to Inuktitut, and also just to the animals of the north. Purely non-fiction, like here is a seal, and this is what seals do, sort of thing. Like sea lions, that was one of my favorites from the last round, was their book on sea lions. This round I read Wild Eggs, A Tale of Arctic Egg Collecting. This was a 4-star for me. It was about a granddaughter going to visit her grandparents in the north and learning about what they do. This is Siluk, The Last Tunic, which is about the last of a race of giants. Rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. Two of my more favorite stories from this round were Ikalik and Kala Go Fishing. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce these. Raven and the Loon, because they both deal with a more serious character, more steady character, and then a more frantic, kind of anxious character. Both these stories kind of, I felt like, had a really balanced view as to the value of each, and, you know, one kind of person isn't better than another kind of person, so I really appreciated that, and the art in both of them was really nice. So I decided to rate both of those 4 out of 5 stars. We have The Owl and the Lemming. I did this one 4 out of 5 stars too, because I really liked the art. And then we had Families, which was a bit of it was a different sort of picture book than the rest of the ones I've read from there. I did read, I'll rate it 3 out of 5 stars because I wasn't quite as enamored with the art. It was about different kinds of families, and obviously I believe in different sorts of families. I think different sorts of families are very valid, and I'm really glad this book exists, but it just felt a little bit more awkward. Probably just because I'm self-conscious as an SJW and I just want everything to be perfect and everyone to love everyone else, so perhaps unfair of me. And then I read Stuka and the Raven, which was nice. The art style didn't go with me quite as much, so I did rate that one for 3 out of 5 stars, but it was still really great. And Sweetest Kulu was actually Inhabit Junior imprint. I did rate this one, I think I might have rated it 5 Kulu, which I did rate 5 out of 5 stars. There was a page missing, which is an ongoing issue with a lot of books I've gotten out recently, that there'll be a page missing here or there. Less surprising in picture books, I suppose. But this one was just so heart-meltingly adorable and just really interesting, and just very different perspective, but just so sweet and nice. And the art was really great, and it seemed like a really great book. Celebrating, you know, Inuit stuff, and kind of family and love and babies, and it was just nice and cute. Yep, positive, all the feels. Yay! Circling back to some of my perceptions of these stories as a whole, as like mythic and fiction and all that stuff. While I'm not privy necessarily to how seriously each author wants me to take this book in like a literalist fashion, it was a good exercise for me as a Christian, right? As someone who's grown in my own Christian culture full of Christian and picture books and Bible picture books and stuff, to try and place things that I see as more fantastical kind of in the same line as those religious picture books, and put them on an equal footing, because again, I don't know exactly what all these authors intend, but I think that was an important exercise for me, because obviously there's people who think that my religious views are complete fairy tales, which is fine. Yeah, we do what we each do, but I think it is important to have respect for each other, and to be, especially as a religious person, very cognizant of how you deal with others' ideas of either religion or spirituality. It was also really interesting, as Christianity is a religion that has really migrated a lot, especially by the time it got to me. It is ancient Middle Eastern stuff that somehow wandered its way to Europe, and then those Europeans wandered over here and killed a bunch of people. Colonizers. Long line of colonizers. Just, again, comparing and contrasting what that must be like. Because even now, I know a lot of people who are Christians who put a lot of weight to visiting the Holy Land. So, just to imagine being part of something that has been in the same spot for that more than a couple thousand years. That's really interesting, and that was definitely a really powerful thing to take away from this. Those are my thoughts. A bit heavy for a Kids Lit Wednesday, but such is life. And as always, Literally Graphic is recorded on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation. I live here because of British colonization, Indigenous genocide, and more geographically specific, Treaty 13, also known as the Toronto Purchase, which was finalized in 1805 between representatives of the Crown and certain Mississauga peoples. This treaty was a lie and has since been broken many times over. Saying so reflects only my own small steps towards knowing the truth and does nothing for reconciliation.